Good morning, and welcome to Redeemer Lutheran Church. I'm Pastor Gary Lodeholt. In the first part of the 20th century, Dwight L. Moody was considered the greatest evangelist in the world. In an age before radio and TV, Moody sparked a revival of faith all across Europe and North America. He was described as a man who touched 2 continents for Christ. He grew up in Ireland, and when he was a young man about to make his way in the world, he found himself talking with a friend. In their discussion, the friend said, "The world has yet to see what God will do with a man fully consecrated to him." Moody thought about that for weeks. Then one day he made his decision. "By the Holy Spirit in me," he said, "I will be that man. By the Holy Spirit in me, I will be that man." I hardly think there's anything more I really need to say at this point that little story doesn't say. Over the past few weeks, we've looked first at the Holy Spirit and then at love, joy, and peace, patience, kindness, and goodness, and faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control, a list Paul calls the fruit of the Spirit. And just like a seed was planted in Dwight L. Moody, which grew to change the world, maybe we've had a seed planted in us as well. You know, whenever the Bible uses the word fruit, what it really talks about are God's expectations of us. Fruits are what we're supposed to be. Fruits are what we're supposed to do. It describes God's expectations for our actions, God's expectations for our character. And it's interesting to note that while we have been looking at the fruits of the Spirit in this series, Paul also lists elsewhere what he calls the gifts of the Spirit. Gifts of the Spirit, says Paul, are unique to the individual. Some people are given one gift, others are given something different. Some can teach, some can serve, some can lead, some can earn income. Paul's list goes on and on. But the fruit of the Spirit is different from the gifts. The fruit of the Spirit is not divided out like the gifts are. No, Paul doesn't talk about the fruits of the Spirit. It's not plural. He talks about the fruit of the Spirit. In other words, you aren't given one or the other by the Holy Spirit. With the Holy Spirit, you are given all 9. All of us living out love, joy, and peace. All of us living out patience, kindness, and goodness. All of us living out faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. All of us. All of it. All the time. Maybe we could think of it like a prism. You might remember working with prisms back in your school days. A prism is usually a triangular piece of crystal, and when you shine a light on one side, when it comes out the other side, you see a rainbow of color. The light we normally see and call white light is really made up of a whole spectrum of colors working together. And just like that, just like how the colors of the rainbow are all present in normal white light, so all these traits of character are bound up in the work of the Holy Spirit in us. We need them all. With the Holy Spirit in us, we are them all. Once when Alexander the Great was on one of his campaigns of conquest, he received a message that one of his soldiers had been continuously and seriously misbehaving and thereby shedding a bad light on the character of all the Greek troops. Alexander summoned the soldier in order to confront him in person. When the young man arrived, Alexander the Great asked him, "What is your name?" "Alexander, sir," the reply came back. The commander looked him straight in the eye and said, "Soldier, either change your character or change your name." We are called Christians. We are named for Christ, and our character should reflect the character of Him for whom we are named. That's the fruit of the Holy Spirit in us. To the church in Galatia, to the church named Redeemer in Columbia, South Carolina, Paul wrote, "But the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control." May we nurture the spirit that God has rooted in our hearts. May we find ourselves bearing fruit for God. And when God calls, may we answer, by the Holy Spirit in me, I will be that one. Thanks for watching, and remember to let this day belong to God.